Alongside Matt Ray, I'm Austin Price. A little 2-minute drill action here from 865 Live, Tennessee's big recruiting weekend before official visits start in the month of June. And we'll start with Savon Hider, the surprise visitor. In reality, the visit's been set up for a couple weeks, but he wants to remain low-key, which is why he's not going to talk coming out of this visit. Now, maybe he talks with somebody from National, but he's not going to talk with any locals about this visit. Tennessee obviously made up a ton of ground in the month of April when he was here for a visit. Seems like they've continued the momentum here with Tennessee and Michigan kind of jockeying for that top spot.
Yeah, and I don't think it's any surprise that Savon Hider's kept everything pretty low-key. I think throughout the process, he's done a really good job of doing that. He's visited places quietly. He's a 5-star running back, top running back in the country, but he's not been all about the show. And he has a very tight inner circle, and that's how he's worked this recruiting process. And that's why the month of June, as we've said for some time, is going to be so important for him, because there's going to be a lot of rubber meeting the road there, and he's got a lot to process through. And for Tennessee to get him back here now gives you even more of a chance to get to that last official visit in June, and then you got to make the most of that opportunity. So a big visit to get him back.
Georgia running back Amari Latimer did not make it in for 865 Live after initially telling everyone he was planning to be here. He did not make it in. But let's stay in the state of Georgia. Braden Rouse is right at the top of the list at the linebacker spot. Spent a ton of time with William Inge and the entire Tennessee staff today.
Yeah, had his family with him again today, and another really good visit for Braden Rouse. It's very clear Tennessee remains very high in this. He's never going to publicly name a leader at any point in this thing until he commits around July. But at this point, you can tell Tennessee's been very deep in this for some time, but June's going to be important. He's going to visit Michigan, he's going to visit Alabama, he's going to visit Texas. So those are 4. And then Tennessee. Those are 4 really big visits for him. It's going to be a family decision, and I think that's going to be key for the Vols, is continue to win the family over there. But one thing he did come back to me and say today was that with Tennessee, they got in early. So they've been here with him from the start since August, and that's been really important. And it's going to be almost a year's worth of a relationship, and that's something that matters to him.
Tristan Given, the edge. Tennessee seems to be doing a really nice job there. And Coach Chop, as long as he's involved, you'd have to give Tennessee a real opportunity to land him.
Yeah, absolutely so. He's a guy that doesn't say a whole lot, but he came out and said when I finished up talking with him today that Tennessee's always been a top dog for him. Now, he's going to go see Florida State, who's quietly been in this. It feels like a lot of people have discounted Mike Norvell's program, but he's seen them almost as much as any other program. He went to Texas A&M in April, and that was a really good visit. They're slated to get him back on campus at the end of June. So that's going to be a really heated recruitment, but Coach Chop has Tennessee locked into this recruitment, and the Vols are going to be a real player there going into June.
Craig Tutt, the safety from Oakland High School in Murfreesboro, man, it really feels like Tennessee has got a ton of momentum here. I think Ole Miss was the team to beat as they exited February, first part of March, and then Tennessee just kind of kept coming, and they're continuing to come. He's only going to take 2 official visits, 1 to Knoxville, 1 to Oxford, and see Ole Miss and Tennessee. And, I just think it's going to be hard for me to believe in the end that he goes anywhere but Knoxville. But at the same time, you can't discount Ole Miss because they have been in it, much like we just talked about, with a couple of schools with Givens and Rouse. They have been in it a long time.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think one thing important with Craig Tutt is the relationships across the whole of Tennessee staff.
Yeah.
When you start hearing them talk about guys from Danny O'Rourke to Coach Heupel to Coach Martinez to Coach Chop, it's been a combination recruiting him for some time now. And like I said, Ole Miss has definitely been in it. But for me, Tennessee, the way that they've cultivated that relationship over time is going to be really important as he gets back out on those official visits in June.
Other in-state kids that were here today, Zayden Anderson, Kamari Blair, the big offensive lineman out of Clarksville, Carson Sneed. Sneed told me that, if it continues to trend basically the way it's been trending, he's going to end up sticking with Tennessee. It certainly feels like that's what he wants to have happen. I know he's kind of went through the process and flirted around, taking some visits and all that stuff, but it still seems like Tennessee's the team to beat here as we wrap up the month of May. Kamari Blair, on the other hand, is canceling his Kentucky visit at the end of June. Tennessee will get the last crack on June 20th.
Yeah, he's a guy that looks like a grown man too. A lot of upside there from a physical standpoint. The way that you can see him move about, it feels like Tennessee certainly put their best foot forward there since they offered him, and getting him here this weekend's huge, and then to get him back at the end of the month of June's huge. Carson Sneed scheduled an official visit to Florida For the middle of June, I'm still skeptical on if that one will happen. We'll see, what ends up happening there. But I'm agreeing with you. I think it feels like he wants this to end up at Tennessee, but he has continued to go through the process, and we'll see where it plays out at.
One of the top players in the state, Joel Wyatt, going to take his official visits in June again with Tennessee, feeling like they've got the best shot, but the last shot.
Yeah, I asked him, what made you want to come back up to Tennessee this weekend before you're here again in a couple of weekends? And he just kind of looked around and said, who wouldn't want to come up here? Basically, I love Tennessee. I love the culture here. It continues to feel like they've done a really nice job there. I think the people in the building here matter to him, and Coach Chop, again, very big in that one.
What else stood out today? Anything else we're missing?
I think Tennessee's continued to do a nice job of recruiting some fast rising defensive backs and Joel Combe and Zayden Anderson.
Yep.
It continues to feel like they're building momentum with both of those guys that aren't highly ranked right now, but have traits that Tennessee likes, and I think that's very important.
All right, that's a look at A65 Live Recruiting. We'll talk about it all on the General's Quarters at Volquest.com. If you're not a member, come join us. It's a great time to join the Vol family. Talk about Tennessee football, Tennessee recruiting, a little bit of everything, as Tennessee baseball rolls on as well as they head into regionals next weekend. He is Matt Ray. I'm Austin Price.